Podcast. Today's July 31st, 2022. We're in season 3, episode number 37. How you doing, Andy?
Doing good, doing good.
So it's Dan and Andy on the show here. This is the song. This is the sports edition only, not the songs
Yep.
edition, but the sports. And so
Yes.
today's episode is going to be sports and sports only. We got a lot of things to cover. I did not get a trivia question, but we have a
Well,
lot of news to
yes.
prevent to cover today. So
First of all, we'll go something a little off script for us in a way. You look up time. You'll get not really basketball season, but Bill Russell,
yes.
NBA legend, passes away today, 88 years old. Of course, he was done playing before I could remember watching basketball, so I just remember him as an analyst, starting out doing play-by-play commentary, stuff like that. I don't throw this word around a lot, but he seemed like a real nice gentleman when he spoke and when you talked to him. You never heard about that jerk Bill Russell. He had he was always nice to everybody. From what I've heard, he very well could have been, but real nice guy. He was a great ambassador for the sport, you know, um, and he played with the Boston Celtics, 13 championships there. Was coach for 2 of the years there, and I say this in this time we are in society today. All the great things Bill Russell did for the Boston Celtics, if you believe all you read and the way he was as an owner and everything else there. If you're not familiar with it, he Griffith. We'll just leave it at that. But he knew when he had a gold mine, he had a stud. He had to keep him. Bill Russell passes away today, 88. Never heard. I'm assuming natural causes. I never heard anything horrid going on, or he'd been fighting anything. But he was a pretty private man that way too. So yeah. So basketball. Hopefully they do something decent this year. Something decent at the All-Star game for him. I'm not saying rename an award after the man, but just a nice tribute to him at the beginning of the year at the All-Star game would be kind of nice for Bill Russell. Football. We'll lean into our big baseball stuff. Follow a little college football here. Division 2. There's FCS, FBS, but then there's Division 2. And that's where the Bemidji State Beavers are at. College Football America came out their Division 2 poll to start the season. Preseason polls already.
Oh, really? Okay.
Ferris State is the number one for the thing. BSU would come in at number 17 for the Beavers in the top 30.
Okay.
For us locally around here, and for fans of the show, yeah, like I said, BSU at 17, Minnesota Duluth at 23, Augustana and South Dakota at 26, and Central Washington number 30. That rounds out your groups there. So their season for the Beavers this year, they go straight into conference play. 11 games this year, all conference games. September 1st is their first game already at home at the Chet against Minnesota State, or as we know it here, Mankato. And that'll be on the NSIC, Northern Sun Intercollegiate College, their network. You can get that on your apps. You can find an app on your Roku or your TVs. Free app. You can watch all the games from that conference. They have that. I said 11 games this season, 5 at home, 6 on the road. So Beaver football getting started there. The Bison start November 3rd at home against Drake. For your Bison schedule, again, you could get ESPN package, ESPN Plus. They're on ESPN3 a lot. You catch Bison games there. Except September 17th, they're going to be at FS1. The Bison are at Arizona September 17th. So that should be a FS1, so I guess that's kind of a national game.
Sure. That'd be good.
So that's that one for those. So there's a couple football notes. We'll get you cooled off on this hot weather thinking about football and basketball there. Some baseball stuff. We're going to kind of stick with our hometown stuff here, but I want to start with the Mike Trout news. I am not a medical, so I'm not even going to try to pronounce what he's got. He's got back issues. We'll just leave it at that. I'm not gonna sit here and explain what it is. You can go to ESPN or Fox or CNN and look it all up if you want. He's got issues with his back. Yeah, he's starting rehab therapy now. I don't, and you're never going to hear this cross my lips. What could have been? I'm not going to say that about Mike Trout. You might start hearing the stuff if his career's cut short. Did they make the exception if he's Hall of Fame based on what he did? Again, I'm not going to tackle that subject right now either. All I got to say is he's young enough, he's healthy enough. Hopefully, this isn't going to be devastating to him. You know, um, nice organization, nice guy. So I wish only the best for him. I'm just kind of glad that they're out of it so he could worry about his health and not try to fight through to win. If they were finally having their winning season and he'd fight through it and cause more issues. Not to sound there, I'm glad the team's doing bad so he can pull away and get healthy. So if he gets that health, he gets that taken care of. Either way, I don't care if he plays baseball again or not. Just get healthy and have a decent life. That's all I'm hoping for him. He can take care of this. If they find out it's a thing you could get hereditary or whatever, he's a great enough spokesman. He could be the voice for this. Like it's like a cancer or a checkup or a screening. Hey, go get checked out for this. If you got heart disease, back, whatever, he could be a great spokesman. He's just a wonderful person. So let's hope the best for him. Talk about the local team here, the Minnesota Twins. I told you so. They bring Sano up. 48 hours later, he's hurt on the DL. Why did we waste our time? I have to bring back Andy's soapbox, I think, for this one, because this is a soapbox moment.
Oh, yes.
Why did we waste our time with this guy? Like I said, do they call him up? They maybe make him trade bait. Maybe that's what they did. We'll never know. Now he's injured on the DL again. Cut bait. Let him go. Just be done with him. The Twins, after today's game, they have a 1-game lead. I think I heard it after the game, beginning of July, they had like a half-game lead. Now they got a 1-game lead at the end of July. But the scheduling gods are in favor of us right now because the month of August, 20 of the 20, was it 8 games are at home for the Twins.
Really?
So, but they're 8 road games, 2 against the Dodgers, 3 against the Angels, 3 down in Houston. So, not exactly 8 easy games, but so you got 20 of the 28 at home. Sleep in your own bed, eat your own food. Hopefully they can put some distance between them and others. Their magic number as of today right now is 61. The Twins' magic number. So we'll start that count after a week. 61. They have a 1-game lead over Cleveland and 2 ahead of the White Sox. So you never know. You look at some of the links. I use CBS for my baseball stats and standings, and they would call them off to the far side. Percentage of winning the division.
Okay.
The Twins are 3rd. They have Cleveland and Chicago having a better chance of winning the division than the Twins.
Oh, really?
So now that might be strict to the schedule later on. I didn't really look at the schedules after August, but maybe that's it. Maybe they know the Twins. I don't know. that's a little odd there. The Mets, they have a 3-game lead over Atlanta, 58 for a magic number. In August, first half of August, the Mets play 9 games against Atlanta, 5 at home, 4 on the road.
Okay.
They have 17 home games, 13 road games in August. That's 30 games in 31 days. Now everybody who knows is going, wait a minute, that don't stop. They have to have a day off every so often. They do. They have 3 days off. They got 2 doubleheaders this month. So the Mets, I'm not making excuses. I just report the news.
Well, Andy, tomorrow is August 1st. So the dog days of August are coming up, and boy, the Mets have a workload.
Yep. 30 games in 31 days.
They're built for it, right?
Right. But their road games, it's Philadelphia, New York, they're Atlanta, they're kind of staying right there on the East Coast. They're not going back and forth. So that's going to help in that aspect of it. But the bright spot for the Mets, Tuesday, making his 2022 debut, Jacob deGrom.
Yes.
So
That'll be fun to
I
watch.
don't think he'll go more than 4 innings. It'll be He's not gonna go there and pitch 7 innings, get 10. No, no. They're gonna have him on a pitch count, kind of like the year the Nationals made a run when Strasburg came back from an injury. They
Yep.
kept him on pitch counts, and we got mad at him. Hey, no, we got too much money invested in. I really think until October they're gonna really baby deGrom, and I'm okay
Mhm.
with that. Baby him till October, or if God forbid you fall a game behind and you need something, but I would baby him till October if I had to, and then take the leash off and let the horse run. Um, that's as a Mets match number 58, 3-game lead over Atlanta. The rest of the division is double digits behind, and not even worried about Philadelphia and all them. They're not an issue. Um, the other news I had, did I have another note here? No, I did see some uh, uh, these club teams play for baseball this weekend out in Delano. Went and saw my cousin's boy plays. Went and saw them. It's kind of like basketball. They have the U17 teams, or hockey. They have them for baseball also. These kids are all going to be juniors, sophomore, juniors in high school, seniors in high school. So that age group. Fun times. Watch out there again. Baseball's baseball. I'll watch it. I'll watch the Pirates and the Royals play. Okay, I'll watch anyone. Well, it was good. It was fun watching that baseball. I got talking to some of the parents there. I said, now, what's next for these guys? Are they Legion ball? Are they going to go? I mean, after high school, is it going to be Legion, town ball, college, whatever? Where do they match up on this? And yeah, they'll probably do the high school, the college, then Legion and up the town. Because of these club teams like this that are playing, a lot of us say it's kind of hurting the high school team. So they got so much time invested into this. Yeah, they play high school too, but baseball's becoming a year-round sport for them. So, which good and bad, take it how you will. But my kids, they get a little more playing time on these club teams to get ready for the high school team. These aren't your starters on your high school team playing on these clubs. These are the guys who, like for pro leagues, you'll go down and play winter ball to kind of brush up, that's kind of what this is like.
Yeah.
But they're still good. Don't get me wrong. They weren't a bunch of great games, very competitive games, fun games. Like I said, went to the two fields out in Delano to watch. And as you know, they got a great setup out there in Delano for the games. Yeah, it was
Oh,
fun to
sure.
watch. Good fundamental baseball. Like I said, they're kind of all-star teams. So it wasn't like a Minnetonka high school team or Waconia high school team. It was this area, kind of like town ball is. It's an area of people, and the team I was watching was mostly kids from the Minnetonka area, but they had a kid from Waconia on the team and a kid from somewhere else. But you're kind of grouped like town ball, but not only your high school. So
Okay.
yes, baseball everywhere. You catch whatever you want. Now you went to some town ball games this weekend, did you not?
I played in an over 50 game, which we won, and then I was there for the beginning of the Lonsdale DRS game against Webster. And so in the DRS, they for that first round of the lower seeded teams, if you don't receive a bye, you play a best of three series to eliminate those weaker teams, best of three. So interesting thing out there is they used to have these games that first round always on the weeknights. They'd play game one on a Tuesday, then a Wednesday, Thursday. If your home field doesn't have lights, you always had to play your home games at a team that did have lights.
Right.
So, for instance, the Webster Sox had a big crowd out there for the home game because they pushed, just starting this year, they pushed into the weekends games 1 and 2 on the weekends. So you'd have an afternoon game 1 or 2 where it wouldn't matter if you had lights or not. You were able to host on your own field a playoff game. So the crowd came out, and it's an interesting setup going to that, which means they still have game 3 to play yet. So I was talking to the vice president of that commission, of that section or region, and they said they did that for that reason. But it does push it back. So now it's a tighter squeeze now before the actual region begins. And then they send, I think, from their group, 3 teams, I believe, to the state. But it's an interesting setup. Then today we had the final games for the Crow River League, which they also play best of 3. They played a Thursday or Friday or a Tuesday, and then I think a Wednesday or a Thursday, and then a Friday.
Tuesday was rained out, so it was Wednesday,
Yes, they
Thursday,
pushed
Saturday.
them all back because of the rain, and so the games were all decided of the teams that won 2 straight games and eliminated their opponent. I think there's 3 of those teams. 2 games today, games 3, those were matched up, and so those were concluded, which means that first round is done. Now, if you can see this here.
Yep.
Region 7C. I'm going to make it here bigger.
Oh,
Region 7C tournament is set. And this is the region. Only 8 teams make it. This is Class C, Region 7, essentially the Crow River Valley League. 8 teams now down to the final 8. It is a double elimination tournament. 4 teams go to state. 4 teams get sent home. This begins Thursday. The host is Winstead. You'll be able to see, if you go to the games, some sports and songs advertising. We are going to be in the program this year and hosting some other sponsorships there in Winstead. So come on out to Winstead. They're hosting the day and night games starting Thursday. Double elimination. You lose 2, you're done for the season. You win 2, you're going to state. And this is always a tough region. The 4 teams that go to state here typically do well in the state. Now, the problem with the Region 7C, the history, is this. There's always a team that folds. In other words, a team that chokes. And I think 4 of the 5 years, it's been the number 2 seed that has the jinx. This year, it's the Plato Blue Jays. There's a jinx that goes on here, and there's always one team that's a top-heavy favorite that loses 2 games, and before you know it, they're done. They're packing up their equipment. They're done for the year. And then a Cinderella team advances and goes to state. So this starts Winstead, Minnesota. Try to visit the Blue Note over there, the corner bar out there. It should be fun weekend. It's a 2-weekend tournament. The first 2 games basically eliminates and knocks 2 teams out of that. This weekend we'll know. A week from today, there will only be 6 teams left, and then 2 more teams get eliminated. The final 4 go then to the state tournament, which is hosted in Dundas and Faribault this year. So that is the story with that. It's some good baseball. Like you said, we follow the DRS here mainly, DRS and Crow River Valley. We'll be covering those guys as well for those regions. Now, I did have a topic here, NFL football.
Yes.
We touched on it a little earlier. NFL teams for training camps have now all reported they're ready to go, and they'll have their 2 weeks, I believe, of training camp and kick off with their 3-game preseason, the new 3-game format preseason. Just like last year, it'll be the same thing. And then after that, the teams will kick into high gear with the regular schedule with a 17-week regular season. So Vikings fans, head out there to Eagan and check out training camp if you're a Minnesota Vikings fan. Now, for over 35 baseball, Andy, the final game of the regular season is today. They play May, June, and July. All the regular season games for the Federal League have got to be completed by today. There's 3 games going on as we speak. Brackets will be announced sometime on Monday. And what we'll do here on the show is to do a bracket. I'll do a special bonus podcast this coming week, breaking down the brackets. The good teams to the high average, to the average, to the low average, and following up with Class B. Remember, Federal League, everyone makes the state tournament. Doesn't matter your record. So Class B, there's teams with 1 and 2 losses in the entire season, and they're still playing. And so it's still fun for those guys, but the teams at the top have bragging rights because they will play when the state tournament is done. It's a 2-week state tournament also. The teams there, the top teams, will play against the top teams in the Minnesota State Senior Men's Baseball Association, which is different than the Federal League. Their top 4 teams will come over, and they're going to do a World Series like they did last couple of seasons for the top teams to see who's the true champion. And so we're a couple weeks out from that, but it's fun times, Andy, this time. August 1st is tomorrow. We're going to get into some baseball. The over 50 league is really halfway through its regular season right now. So they don't wrap up till September, but boy, with over 35 in the town ball, it will be it'll be fun next couple of weeks.
Yeah, as on Twitter, we'll be having all of our updates. Kip Kovar at Herald Journal Sports. Most of our updates on Twitter are gonna be his stuff. We're retweeting anyway. And what I was
Yeah,
is
from the
we're not
Crow
gonna make
River
it.
in the region. Kip's
Yep,
the guy to go to. Go follow him at Kip Kovar at Twitter, and he's the main guy there
yep.
at the Herald Journal covering these baseball games, and they are good. Winstead, unfortunate as it is, has one of the least attractive stadiums there in the Crow River, and they're hosting all the games this year. And they round that off. They go in rotation, I guess. But Winston has made some improvements. They've got some updates and upgrades there at the facility. They've got lights. They've got dugouts. They got a fairly good place to go there. It's nice with a team that hosts with lights because all the games then are at one site. If they
Well,
don't, they're moving them around.
and I think it's tough is like you say Winstead Stadium isn't there because the other teams or stadiums that have made upgrades have gone like 3 steps up. They didn't make like gradual upgrades. They went like all in and you got some places like Waconia, what they did to their stadium, or Delano, how it's just a probably A-ball, AA teams would love to have a
You've
stadium
got
like
some
this. I mean,
state-of-the-art
yeah,
ballparks in the
yeah.
Crow
So
River.
it seems like all or nothing in our conference right now. So I feel bad. I mean, even in Watertown, we got a nice little setup here, but it's a nice little setup.
Yeah, I
So
like watching those games at Plato, Hamburg, Green Isle. They're all nice facilities,
yep.
very nice facilities,
It's just
and
some others have raised the bar so high now.
it's
It
so
makes your nice
it's
facility not look so good. So, but
now what I
we don't
did
want
hear.
to. We don't want to do
Saint,
tournament brackets. We're not going to
yep.
do brackets. Just send us on Twitter who you think is going to win for your
Ah,
DRS. And let us know, and then we'll give you credit at the end of the tournament.
now speaking of upgrades, I did find out just yesterday. The St. Bonnie Saints. Once they got eliminated today, they're done. There's a fall baseball league that plays on that field at Missile Park there in St. Bonnie. But when the fall league ends, they're going to be doing some construction on the dugouts. The brand new dugouts are going in at St. Bonnie. Um, Real wide, a lot of room, a lot of space, padding in the front. It's going to be a nice setup. So look for that next year. I think they're still a couple of years away from getting lights at St. Bonnie, but the Saints are going to get some dugouts. Real nice. And like you say, even baby steps to get things done.
Yeah,
These Crow River fields are all pretty snazzy.
yeah, someone real big time, and like I said, they set the bar so far ahead. It's like give us smaller school or smaller towns time to catch up to you. Like I said, the league's games start. I think Thursday. Watertown's got the first game hosting here.
Yeah, they're the number
Um,
one seed.
Yep. So we'll be hosting the first game Thursday. Well, not hosting. We'll be the home team at Winstead that
Yes.
first night. Which is kind of a home game for us. I mean, it's only 15 minutes down the road, 20 minutes down the road. Everybody, and that's the great thing about this. All the games are in Winstead, but they're all 15, 20 minutes from your home stadium. So you're not traveling a lot. So.
And these teams travel pretty well as far as their
Yep.
fans.
Yep.
And
Yeah, so it's a good times, well, and everybody's going to have fun too. That's the great part about it. Unlike small college or high school rivalry games where it gets kind of ugly afterwards. Oh yeah, we're gonna talk smack during the game, but afterwards we'll be down at the Blue Note having beers with everybody. So it's good fun, it's good laughs.
it's a good group. It's fun to follow this time of year. Hopefully the weather will be good. I've looked in the forecast. It looks to be nice the next couple of weeks, so we should be able to get all these games in.
And now remember the rules on some of this stuff when you follow your teams. We'll just use Plato as an example because you mentioned them earlier. Say they get bumped out right away. Look for those players to be the ones drafted now for the next round of the tournament. So your favorite player, your favorite team might still be represented on a few other teams too. So keep that in
And
mind.
that's a big. And each team, as they get eliminated, as you go, you're right, Andy. Those top pitchers are still going to be eligible to put their name in the pool to be picked up for the state tournament to be drafted. Each team does get 3 draft picks from players from teams that are eliminated to go forward. So you can still cheer on your team even though they're not in because they will be represented, and many times represented very well. We've seen that championship game last year was both pitchers going head to head that weren't even on the normal teams.
Now, like say for Watertown, for example, they don't have to take a pitcher from Class 7. See, they could take a guy from Moorhead if they wanted to, right?
No, it has to come from our region.
It has to be your area. Okay.
Yes, yeah. So
Okay.
their pool of players they can pick from is only the region of your
The region.
team.
Okay.
They don't go into a whole giant pool of free agents, as you will, that you
Okay.
can pick from, but it's just the teams. So they're only really watching the teams that are eliminated here. And
Okay.
then from that group, that player, if interested, has to opt in, essentially.
Yeah.
Assuming that you're home, not traveling the next couple weekends or whatever for the
Yep.
state. Once they opt in and they're healthy, then you can pick from that pool of players. And so the
Okay.
4 teams that go to state, 3 will get drafted from each team. There's 12 players then that will move forward and advance. So 12 additional players will be coming representing out of Region 7C over and above the team itself. But yeah, the defending champion Watertown went to the final championship game for Class
Yep.
C. Now I don't know where they finished in the region last year. They didn't win it, right?
I think they were third.
Yeah, so
Third and kind of
third and went on to go to the
and got.
state
I don't want to say
final.
backed in, but they were the last team to make it in for our conference for state. Yeah.
So it for Class C, it gets to be interesting. You want to try to win to get a favorable seeding to play a weaker team from another section in the state. But as we've seen from the past, if you go to state, regardless of your seeding, those seedings I think are thrown out the window. You never know who's
Yeah.
going to get hot, who's not, and it's a crapshoot.
It's like the college basketball tournament because it's
It's
one and
like
done.
yes, you
It's
never
one
know
and done.
what's
It's
going
not a series. So that's where it's kind of fun too, is because it's like, oh well, if we lose this game, we'll get them tomorrow. No, you won't. You will lose this game, and you'll be fishing tomorrow or golfing tomorrow.
Yes.
You're not. You're not.
Now,
You'll get them next time.
at the same time, Class A and B are wrapping up, and they'll be announced to those brackets. So we cover A and B less here on the show, but now that Young America is in Class B, we will cover those. I've also heard over the weekend, even in Class C, St. Patrick Irish is more than likely going to be moving up to Class B next year, and
Oh,
so
okay.
there are some teams teetering, and we'll follow Young America in the region and how well they do as well. And Class A to some extent we'll cover as well. But Class C is where it's at. That's where we'll be focusing our energies here.
Because that's our region. That's where we're based out of. So we're more familiar with them too. We're not picking favorites. But
Yes,
as the fan base for the show grows, so since our stuff. That's why we talk
exactly.
about Bemidji State. We talk about NDSU. We mentioned the Kraken for Seattle. We
Oh
mentioned
yeah,
some other, the Mets because of where our listenership is. So we're all over the place. If you're listening in Denver and you want us to know, hey, we listen in Denver, talk about the Colorado Rockies. Fine, we'll talk about the Rockies. Or you're wherever. Let us know your hometown and your college or pro team you want us to follow. We'll give them some mentions.
yeah. The rest of the summer here is going to go fast, I believe. But that's all I've got for sports this week. Anything else from on your end, Andy?
One thing I want to talk about the NFL schedule.
Yes.
What thing we're doing here at the Shadow Studios, October 2nd, the Vikings are playing in London. 8 a.m. our time is the game.
Oh yes, yes.
So, the staff is throwing together a little breakfast buffet here. So it's gonna
Of
be
course.
4 games. Yes, well,
A watch party, if you will, on a Sunday morning.
yes. So
Bloody
Saturday
Mary.
night church will be very busy because no one's going to church Sunday morning. But yeah, so and because there's 3 games, I think there's 2 in London and 1 in Germany.
Okay.
So you're gonna the NFL now that COVID, we're kind of getting back to doing that again. NFL always had their European games, so we're getting back to that. I don't want to hear the excuses. I saw the schedule. Seattle's got to play in Germany. Get over it. They've gave you time to fly out there beforehand and back to get rested. Everybody's went I saw a thing. Oh, look at all the miles Seattle's put on for traveling this year. Well, because one of the games was in Germany for crying out loud,
Yes.
So
It's an outlier.
just let's read this fine print on the schedule too on why they're putting on the miles. So yeah, it's kind of fun. It's kind of nice having those morning games in a way. I'm glad it's not every week, just a couple 3 times. I'd even be okay if they did it on a Saturday morning instead. But I know you got college football, so it's kind of a fight. But still,
That's true. Now, speaking of college football, the Golden Gophers will be another fun team to watch this year,
Yes.
especially their first game, that non-conference game, will be good, and it's going to be in a good stuff, tough stuff.
Abraham coming back now after he got hurt on his first game last year, so we should have a decent squad. I love the Gophers. Don't get me wrong, I love them. It's broken my heart too many times in football.
Oh yes,
I just can't drink the Kool-Aid too much. I'll hold a glass of it and I'll cheers you with it, but I'm not drinking the Kool-Aid yet.
yeah. Now is there the realignment that starts? When does that start?
Next year, 2024.
So no changes as far as this year. It stays static, and then next year we'll see all that change. But
USC and UCLA coming in. Like I said, I'm more happy for that, right? The women's volleyball, men's and women's basketball. That's where I'm excited for those two teams to come in. One thing I remember is, why would UCLA come here? They had, if you know UCLA's college stuff, they were in the red financially because of some bad deals they'd made. So this Big Ten buying them out and getting them in helped save them. So that's why they were quick to pull the trigger and they took USC with them. Both those schools have made some bad financial ventures lately.
yeah,
with independent TV deals. And Notre Dame for football, it's because of football. Yes, they play the ACC for basketball. They play Big Ten for hockey. But football has such a great TV deal with NBC. I don't think they'll ever join a conference for football.
they have no desire or need to. They hit the jackpot.
I mean, they have their own TV deal. They still play 2 or 3 Big Ten teams a year anyway. They play a couple other big schools, so they still play a pretty tough schedule anyway. But I bet in the next 5 years they're going to have to form or join a conference, just because all these other super conferences forming, Big Ten getting so big, they're going to have to knuckle under and join one of them. But one conference is going to pay big money for Notre Dame. But it's going to be a package. You're going to get it for. See, they got a good hockey program, so I'm saying Big Ten might be the lead on that to get them, so we can keep them for hockey. Because if they go to the SEC, there's not a lot of hockey programs on there. Yeah, you can be in the SEC and still be in the Big Ten for hockey, but that's just goofy. Be all in one conference for everything, or don't be. So I think the Big Ten has the in. Next 5 years, you're going to see Notre Dame in the Big Ten.
Be interesting to see how that shakes out.
It would be fun.
All right, guys, have a good week.
We'll see you this weekend on the Songs Edition.
Oh yes, exactly. All right.
Bye-bye.
See ya.